Gold felt a shift in the air, a feeling she couldn't quite place. She wanted to sing along with the others, but she hesitated, unsure of how she would sound. She glanced at her friends, hoping they would offer a helping hand, but their faces were filled with desperation. Amina and Sade were the pride of Umoja village because of their beauty. Umoja village was a small community, so small that every face was familiar. People lived in harmony, almost like one big family, but something felt off about this place. The Umoja village market was small, just like the village itself, and not everything the villagers needed could be found there. When the women of the village wanted to buy things like jewelry or fancy clothes, they would have to walk along a narrow road to the neighboring village of Ketu. Ketu village had a much larger market, and everything they needed could be found there. But the journey wasn't easy. Along the narrow path that connected the two villages, there was a giant snake. Despite its intimidating presence, the villagers weren't afraid. They had a song, passed down through generations, that kept them safe. Whenever they encountered the snake, they would start singing. The song made the snake retreat, allowing them to pass by unharmed. However, if anyone passed without singing, the snake would either kill them or take them away. This song was known by every villager, as it had been passed down from generation to generation. As small as Umoja village was, whenever something extraordinary stood out, the villagers took notice. They never took it for granted and would talk about it, sometimes as if it were more than what it seemed. Amina and Sade's beauty was constantly whispered about and discussed at every corner of the village. The village men couldn't help but follow their every movement with their eyes, and no gathering of men was complete without a mention of Amina and Sade. Their beauty seemed to light up every conversation, and their presence cast a spell on everyone. Amina and Sade carried themselves with pride. They knew they were beautiful, perhaps too well. The world seemed to revolve around them, and they basked in the attention like it was their birthright. Their beauty made them so proud that it wasn't easy for any man to win their attention. When men approached them with marriage proposals or requests for relationships, they would often reply, "Did we put up a sign saying we need a relationship? We don't need any men right now. Please leave us be." But then a quiet change arrived in the form of Fola and Yomi, strangers to Umoja village, who arrived one sunny afternoon. They were a humble couple, but they brought with them something extraordinary: their daughter Ireti. Ireti was unlike any girl Umoja village had ever seen. Her beauty was rare and delicate, like a rare flower that bloomed only once in a lifetime. It wasn't just her appearance that caught people's attention, it was her presence. She moved with grace, her soft voice leaving everyone who heard it spellbound. Her laughter danced through the air like a sweet melody, filling the hearts of everyone around her with warmth. The men who once only had eyes for Amina and Sade now found themselves captivated by Ireti. Conversations at the village joints, once dominated by mentions of Amina and Sade, now shifted to Ireti. "She shines like her name," one man said. Others nodded in agreement. "She's not just beautiful, she's different," another added. Ireti was not allowed to go out much. Her parents, protective and loving, kept her safe, especially since they were new to the village. The only time the villagers would see her was when she went to the river to fetch water. One afternoon, an elder from the village, sent by the king's palace, arrived at Fola and Yomi's house. He came to teach them the snake song, so they could safely pass through the narrow road to Ketu village. When the elder arrived, he explained the importance of the song and asked them to call their family out to learn it. However, Fola only called his wife and told Ireti to continue with her chores. "Why didn't you call your daughter to join us?" the elder asked, his face filled with concern. "Everyone in the village must know the song in case they ever need to go to Ketu village." Fola replied, "She has nothing to do in Ketu village. We don't allow her to go out anyhow. Since her birth, we have not sent her to the market. Whenever she needs something, she tells us, and we buy it for her. Just teach us the song, and I'll teach her later." The elder agreed and then taught Fola and Yomi the song. Meanwhile, Amina and Sade began to notice the shift in attention. The stares that once followed them wherever they went now lingered on Ireti. The whispers that used to praise their beauty now compared them to the newcomer. Their pride gave way to unease. The world they had known where they were the queens of Umoja village, seemed to crumble around them. Ireti didn't ask for the attention, but her beauty was undeniable. The villagers had decided she was the new beauty of Umoja village. Amina and Sade's hearts burned with jealousy. How could someone so new steal what they had held on to for so long? Every day their jealousy grew. Ireti was unlike anyone else. In the village, while Amina and Sade, the two most celebrated beauties, carried themselves with pride, often looking down on others, Ireti's heart was pure and her kindness was genuine. It didn't take long for her to win the hearts of everyone around her. Whenever she returned from the river, the men would approach her, drawn by her soft demeanor and warm smile. She greeted everyone equally, her eyes full of kindness. Zara felt something shifting in the air. She wanted to sing along with the others, but she wasn't sure if she knew how. She glanced at her friends, hoping they would help, but their faces were filled with uncertainty. Amina and Sade were the pride of Fatu village, admired for their beauty. Fatu village was small, so small that everyone knew everyone, and the faces were always familiar. The village was peaceful, almost like one big family, but there was an unusual energy brewing that day. The Fatu village market was small, just like the village itself, and it didn't carry everything the villagers needed. When the women wanted things like fancy clothes or jewelry, they had to make the journey to the neighboring village, Zante village. Zante had a much bigger market, full of everything the villagers could desire. However, the journey wasn't easy. The road that connected Fatu to Zante was narrow, and there was a giant snake that resided along the way. Strangely enough, the villagers were never afraid of the snake. They had a song, a melody that had been passed down through generations, a song that kept the snake at bay. Whenever the villagers encountered it, they would start singing, and the snake would retreat into the bush, leaving them unharmed. However, if anyone dared to pass without singing, the snake would either kill them or take them away. Everyone in Fatu village knew the song. It was a tradition, a protective gift that had been shared for generations. As small as Fatu village was, when something extraordinary stood out, the villagers took note. And Amina and Sade's beauty was one of those things. Their beauty was often whispered about in every corner of the village. The men couldn't help but follow their every move, and no gathering was complete without the mention of their names. Their beauty dominated every conversation, and everywhere they went, it seemed like the world revolved around them. They carried themselves with pride, heads held high as if the attention was their birthright. When any man approached them with marriage proposals or simply to seek their company, they would often say, "Did we put up a sign saying we need a relationship? We don't need any men for now, please leave us be." But things changed when Fola and Yomi arrived one sunny afternoon. They were a humble couple, but they brought with them something extraordinary. Their daughter, Ireti. Ireti was different. Her beauty was delicate, rare, like a flower that only bloomed once in a lifetime. It wasn't just her appearance that caught attention, it was her very presence. She moved with grace, her voice soft and enchanting, leaving everyone who heard it spellbound. Her laughter filled the air like a melody, bringing warmth to everyone around her. The men who once had eyes only for Amina and Sade now found themselves captivated by Ireti. Conversations shifted. Where once the village men praised Amina and Saadi, now they whispered about Ireti. "She shines like her name," one man said. Another added, "She's not just beautiful, she's different." Ireti didn't go out much. Her parents, deeply protective of their daughter, kept her indoors, especially since they were new to the village. The only time the villagers saw her was when she went to the river to fetch water. One day a village elder was sent by the king to explain the snake song to Fola and Yomi, as they were new to the village. The elder came to teach them the song so that they would be safe when traveling to Zante village. After the elder explained the importance of the song, he asked Fola to call his family together. However, Fola only called his wife, and when the elder asked for Ireti to join, Fola refused. "She doesn't need to go to Zante village. We don't allow her to go out much. If she needs something, we buy it for her," he explained. The elder, concerned, insisted, "Everyone in the village must know the song in case they ever need to travel the narrow road." After some persuasion, Fola agreed to let Ireti join them, and the elder taught Fola and Yomi the song. Meanwhile, Amina and Sade noticed the shift. The men who had once admired them were now more interested in Ireti. The whispers that once praised their beauty were now comparisons to the new arrival. The world they had known, where they were the queens of Fatu village, was slipping away. Ireti didn't ask for the attention, but her beauty couldn't be ignored. The villagers had declared her the new beauty of Fatu village, and Amina and Sade's hearts burned with jealousy. How could someone so new take what they had held onto for so long? While Amina and Sade carried themselves with pride, often looking down on others, Ireti's heart was pure. Her kindness and warmth drew people to her. She was new to the village, but it didn't take long for her to win the hearts of everyone. When she went to the river, the men would approach her, drawn by her gentle demeanor and warm smile. She greeted everyone equally, her eyes full of kindness. Miriam felt something stir within her. She wanted to sing along with her friends, but she didn't quite know how. She glanced over at them, hoping they would offer help. But their faces were full of uncertainty. Amina and Sade were the pride of Ode village, admired by all for their beauty. Ode village was small, and everyone knew each other's faces. It felt like one big family, but today there was an unusual feeling in the air. The Ode village market was tiny, much like the village itself, and it didn't carry everything the villagers needed. When the women needed fancy clothes or jewelry, they had to walk along a narrow road to Dara village, which had a much larger market. Dara offered everything, but the journey was not without danger. Along the narrow road that connected the two villages, there was a giant snake. The villagers were not afraid of the snake. They had a song passed down from generation to generation that kept the snake at bay. Whenever they met the snake, they would begin to sing, and the snake would retreat into the bushes, leaving them unharmed. But if anyone failed to sing, the snake would either kill them or take them away. Everyone in Ode village knew the song by heart. It was a protective gift passed down through the ages. Amina and Sade's beauty was a constant topic of conversation. The men of the village couldn't stop watching their every move. Their beauty lit up every gathering, and their presence seemed to captivate everyone. The two women carried themselves with pride, heads held high. They knew their beauty made them special, perhaps too well. The village seemed to revolve around them, and they basked in the attention as though it were their birthright. Whenever men approached them for marriage proposals, Sade and Amina would often laugh, saying, "Did we put up a sign saying we need a relationship? We don't need any men for now. Please leave us be." But one day, Fola and Yemi arrived in Ode village. They were a humble couple, but they brought with them something extraordinary: their daughter Ireti. Ireti was unlike anyone Ode village had ever seen. Her beauty was delicate, rare, like a flower that only bloomed once in a lifetime. It wasn't just her appearance that caught the villagers' attention, it was her very presence. She moved with grace, and her soft voice enchanted everyone who heard it. Her laughter filled the air like a sweet melody, warming everyone's hearts. The men who once had eyes only for Amina and Sade now found themselves captivated by Ireti. Conversations shifted. Where once Amina and Sade were praised, now Ireti was the subject of every discussion. "She shines like her name," one man said. Another nodded. "She's not just beautiful, she's different." Ireti didn't go out much. Her parents, protective and loving, kept her close, especially since they were new to the village. The only time the villagers saw her was when she went to the river to fetch water. One day an elder from the village came to Fola and Yemi's home. He had been sent by the king's palace to teach them the song that would protect them from the snake on the road to Dara village. The elder explained the importance of the song and asked Fola to call his family together. But Fola only called his wife and asked Ireti to continue with her chores. "You don't need to go to Dara village. We don't allow Ireti to go out much," Fola explained. The elder, concerned, insisted, "Everyone in the village must know the song just in case they ever need to travel to Dara village." After some persuasion, Fola agreed to let Ireti join them, and the elder taught them the song. Meanwhile, Amina and Sade noticed the shift in attention. The men who once followed their every move now stared at Ireti. The whispers that once praised their beauty now compared them to the new arrival, the world they had known, where they were the queens of. Ode Village seemed to crumble around them. Ireti didn't ask for the attention, but her beauty couldn't be ignored. She became the new star of Ode Village, and Amina and Sade's hearts burned with jealousy. How could someone so new take what they had held on to for so long? While Amina and Sade carried themselves with pride, often looking down on others, Ireti's heart was pure, and her kindness was genuine. She didn't seek admiration, but it followed her wherever she went. When she went to the river, the men would approach her, drawn by her gentle demeanor and warm smile. She greeted everyone equally, her eyes full of kindness. Zara and Said were filled with frustration. Their beauty had once been the pride of Umoja village, but now it seemed like all eyes were on Ireti. Everyone was talking about her, praising her soft demeanor and kindness, and it was driving Zara and Sade mad. The villagers no longer whispered their names. Instead, they spoke of Ireti's warmth, her grace, and her rare beauty. This was a change that no one could ignore. It was at that moment that their jealousy turned into action. Zara and Sade huddled together, plotting their next move. They had to do something to take back their place in the village. They had been the queens, but now it seemed like they were being dethroned by the newcomer, Ireti. "We can't let this happen," Zara hissed, her eyes narrowing. "We need to take action." "What do you think we can do?" Said asked, her tone filled with doubt. "She's got everyone's attention and we're being forgotten." Zara's eyes gleamed with a wicked plan. "We'll befriend her. Let's get close to Ireti. If we become her friends, we can figure out how to take back what's ours." Saad hesitated, but after a moment, she nodded. "All right, let's do it." The next day, Zara and Saad approached Ireti as she was heading to the river to fetch water. Zara flashed a bright smile and offered to help her. Ireti, always kind and welcoming, gratefully accepted their offer. The three girls carried the heavy water bucket together, and as they walked back to the village, Zara and Sade flattered Ireti with compliments. "Our village must feel so new to you," Zara said sweetly, trying to draw Ireti out. Ireti smiled warmly. "It's lovely," she said softly. "Everyone here is so kind. It feels like we're all from the same mother." The two girls exchanged a look of satisfaction. They were making progress. As they walked, they talked about the upcoming village festival. "You should join us at the Zante market before the festival," Said added, her voice warm with excitement. "They sell clothes and jewelry, and you'll find everything you could want." Ireti's curiosity was piqued. "I wish I could go there someday," she said, dreaming aloud. "We can take you there next time," Zara offered. "It's not far, and the village festival is coming soon. You'll love it. You can join us." "For the shopping and the fun." Ireti hesitated. "But my parents—" She trailed off, knowing they would never allow her to leave the house so easily. "Don't worry," Sade reassured her. "We'll get you there. It'll be fun. You don't want to miss out on this." Later that day, the two girls met secretly, pleased with how easily Ireti had agreed to their plan. "She doesn't even know about the snake song we sing to keep." "Safe on the road to Zante village," Zara whispered, a sly smile on her face. Said nodded. "We'll use that to our advantage. If she doesn't know the song, we can get rid of her once and for all." The festival was drawing near, and the village was buzzing with excitement. It was the most anticipated event of the year, and for Zara and Sade it was supposed to be their time to shine. However, they soon learned that this year would be different. Ireti had been selected to be one of the honored guests at the festival. She would sit with the elders and the king, wear the finest clothes and dance for the villagers. When Fola and Yemi, Ireti's parents, heard the news, they were overjoyed. But Zara and Sade were furious. Their jealousy reached new heights. "We can't let this happen," Zara seethed. "We have to do something before the festival. Ireti can't steal our moment." Said agreed, her face dark with envy. "She has to disappear before the festival. If she doesn't, we'll lose everything." The day before the festival, Fola and Yemi decided to visit Zante village to buy clothes for the festival. They asked Ireti what she wanted, but Ireti hesitated. She longed to go with them, but she knew her parents would never allow it. "Mom, Dad, please let me come with you," Ireti pleaded. "I promise I won't go far." "No, Ireti," her mother replied gently. The road to Zante village is dangerous. It's not safe for you. However, Zara and Sade would not take no for an answer. They had their plan, and nothing was going to stop them. They convinced Ireti to go with them, promising to take her to Zante village and return before her parents noticed. As they set out, Ireti had a lingering feeling of doubt. "Is the road really dangerous?" she asked. Zara and Sade exchanged a quick glance, their faces sweet with false reassurance. "There's nothing to worry about," Zara said. "We've done it many times before and we'll be fine." Unaware of the danger that lay ahead, Ireti followed them down the narrow road to Zante village. When they reached the spot where the giant snake often appeared, Zara and Sade's faces suddenly grew serious. They began to sing the snake song, but Ireti didn't know the words. She looked to Zara and Sade, hoping they would help, but their faces were desperate. The snake, sensing her lack of song, appeared from the shadows and swiftly grabbed Ireti, disappearing into the forest. Zara and Sade continued their journey to Zante village, leaving Ireti behind. They were free from the competition for now, and nothing stood in their way. When Fola and Yemi returned and found Ireti missing, they were frantic. They searched the village, asking everyone if they had seen their daughter. Some villagers who often saw Ireti with Zara and Sade directed them to their house. Zara and Sade pretended not to see Ireti, deep down pleased that their plan had worked. The festival came and everything seemed to go smoothly. Ireti was gone and no one seemed to care. But Fola and Yemi refused to give up. They decided to trace the narrow road leading to Zante village, the road where the snake had taken Ireti. They ventured into the forest filled with hope, fear, and love for their daughter. As they walked, they met an old woman who spoke of Ireti's fate. "You're looking for your daughter, but she has already been taken by the snake," the old woman said, her voice tinged with sorrow. Fola and Yemi begged for a way to save their daughter, and the old woman gave them a solution. They must go into the forest and sing the snake song for 3 days without stopping. If they did so, the snake would release Ireti. With no time to lose, they followed her instructions and sang the song day and night. On the 3rd day, the snake appeared, and to their relief, Ireti was released, unharmed, but shaken. The family returned home, their hearts filled with gratitude and joy. But when the king heard of what had happened, he called an emergency meeting with the villagers. Zara and Sade were brought before the king. Their secret was out. Their jealousy and betrayal had been exposed. "You have committed an unforgivable act," the king said, his voice stern, "and you will face the consequences." Zara and Sade were taken to the road where the snake had once taken Ireti. This time, however, the snake showed no mercy, swallowing them whole. Ireti was safe, and her parents embraced her, thankful for their second chance. The villagers would never forget the lesson from Zara and Sade's betrayal. Jealousy and evil deeds are never left unpunished.